So why not flat Earth? I mean, really. They've lied to us for our whole life, my whole life, everybody I know. And in light of these events, I decided to read my Bible again, because why not? I grew up Catholic, so I've known of the Bible. And I also know about the flat Earth. I never thought anything about it. I didn't think, oh, you're stupid. I always kept an open mind. So, here we go. Genesis in 8:3, as I was reading last night, because this hit me like a bucket of cold water. And the waters receded from the earth continually. Period. At the end of 150 days, the waters had abated. Continually. They did not stop receding for 150 days, because continually is not continue. Continue has a break. And further, continually is under the word contingent. And I'm pointing out the words and the orders and the verbatim because it is very important. Words are very important. Sometimes they hurt people, and we need to be very careful. I read that and was like, that's a long time, and that's really scary. So I had to go back, and I read 8:2. The fountains of the deep and the windows of the heaven were closed. What? I don't remember reading that, right? I'm just like, oh gosh, I got to go back to like the beginning. So I went to Genesis, and I'm reading 2. The earth was without form and void, and the darkness was over the face of the deep. Okay? And the Spirit of God was hovering over the face of the waters. We have a lot of faces of the deep, faces of the ground, faces of the land. So here in 6, God said, let there be an expanse in the midst of the waters, and let it separate the waters from waters. See, this is where flat earthers have their foundation, because of the separation of waters and this expansion that was made. Because in 8, God called the expanse heaven, which reminds me of a joke. This guy had this really terrible life, and he finally dies, and he gets there, and he asks, or God asks him, so how was heaven? Dark. It's really dark if you think about it, and you're not having a good time. But here, we know that the Bible has been rewritten. It was rewritten at the Council of Trent in 1545. It took years, 8 years. Anyways, I digress. So, in Genesis 10, 9 and 10, he calls the water to under the heavens to be gathered, but that the dry land that appears is called earth. All right? So I'm still not convinced, I just was like, how did that make sense in my head? Because when I read it, and I was there in the moment last night, because I've been working on this since last night, how am I going to put this in words so other people see what I saw? Now I'm like, still, that doesn't clinch it for me. So I go back. I go back to 7. The Bible is rewritten by so many different people. Got to go back and forth. And I go back to 7:11. On that day, all the fountains of the great deep burst forth, and the windows of heaven were open. What? Then I went up to 7:10. The flood came upon the earth. Back to 7:11. On that day, all the fountains of the great deep burst forth, and the windows of the heaven were open. I don't know what that means to you, but that gives me a great picture. In 7:3-4, face of the earth, face of the ground. In 7:6, the floodwaters came upon the earth. They came upon the earth. It's an interesting verbiage here. In 7:17, the waters increased and rose high above the earth. In 18, they are high above the earth. The ark floated on the face of the waters. 19, the waters prevailed so mighty on the earth that all the high mountains under the whole heavens covered prevailed, covering 15 cubits. If you look up cubits, it says it's 1.5 inches. It's like this. But cubits in volume measure is volume. There's a lot of face. And here we have in Revelation 7. After this, I saw 4 angels standing at the 4 corners of the earth, holding back the 4 winds of the earth. I believe that the winds are seasons. And the last part I'm going to point out is in Genesis 6, that when man began to multiply on the face of the land. Face defined in the dictionary is almost a whole page. Face, yes, it is the first definition from your forehead to your chin, including your lips, nostrils, and eyes. But the 5th definition of face is surface. Surface, A1, front, upper, or outer surface, make, form, face. 2A, the front of something having 2 or 4 sides. 3, facade. 4, exposed surface of rock. Okay. The Gutenberg Press printed the Bible. It was the first book to be printed in 1455, excuse me. And if the Bible was the only piece of literature you had to learn about your world, what would you think about all of those waters? Are they on a globe? Or do they cover a plane, a surface? I don't know. This is some food for thought. I wanted to share what I found and I thought was an amazing piece of work and a great find. Pass it on.